In the years of World War I and II, one word struck fear into any sailor cruising the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. U-boat. Depending on what side you're on, these were mechanical marvels or underwater terrors. Welcome to Cheeky Tales. This week, as we dive into part one of a three-part trilogy of short stories.
Hello and welcome to Cheeky Tales.
Boats and World War II.
Yeah, we're hitting it.
Now, you said World War One. That's not one of our favourites.
I said two.
Oh, true.
World War I and II.
Are you starting in World War One?
Well, starting way before World War I.
Oh. The first time,
Boats
man.
and war. Boats and war. Boats and shooting.
So, yeah.
Early cavemen probably first floated on.
It was a hot summer night in ancient Greece.
But no, welcome to this week of Cheeky Tales. This week I'm hosting. I'm John. With me is Aaron, and producer Sean is that way.
I'm over here. Maybe cut my dance move out. Don't include. I just kind of went like this.
That one's going to stay in now. You made a joke over it.
That happens far too often in this podcast, by the way. Wonder if I saw the footage of you doing it.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so what's been happening? How's married life treating you, boy?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
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 It's not different.
No.
Really. It's got this nice ring.
I had a little bit of inspiration for this episode because I was on a short holiday to Bundaberg where I went scuba diving.
Bundy.
Bundy.
Did you catch a U-boat? Did you find Harold Holt?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but yeah, I went scuba diving for the first time ever, and that was really cool on the southern end of the Great Barrier Reef. So that
It
was an
surprised
experience.
me that they allowed you to do it with so little training.
Yeah, so the training, Sean,
Mm-hmm.
is we had about a 5 to 10 minute brief
Mhm.
of
Breathe underwater.
Yeah, this is all your skills.
Yep.
You're going to have to show us these three skills, which is one is to take the respirator out of your mouth and put it back in.
Mhm.
Two is when the respirator's out and without looking around, you have to find it and put it back in your mouth, and to clear your mask with water.
Okay.
Once we did that, we were 10 meters down at the bottom of the ocean, the Great
Cool.
Barrier Reef.
Cool.
And those three skills were demonstrated while underwater.
Yep.
So
That's about right.
it was
I'd
just,
love to do it.
Tourism operators' ability to teach you the things that you need to teach has come into question more than once in my life.
Yeah.
Compared to, let's say, I'm going to move my mic slightly. Compared to other institutions, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So when I went whitewater kayaking, we spent 2 days with the army. Like when I was in the army, swimming around, we had to swim down a rapid
Mhm.
without kayaks, without anything. You had to be able to do that, or you couldn't get in the kayak. I went whitewater rafting with my wife and my brother-in-law, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is how you paddle. Bah, off we go.
this is how you hold on.
Yeah, my wife proceeded to fall out
Yeah.
of the raft and fly down the river.
Some of the most heartwarming footage I've ever seen. Sean's GoPro in his head. He's like,
Raise up!
wouldn't stop looking at her.
Yeah.
It's really heartwarming.
Well, I was with my eldest son, and
Mhm.
so like for the first third of the scuba dive, I was like swimming next to him just to make sure he didn't freak out or whatever. Because if you've ever been scuba diving, there's like a mental gymnastics you have to overcome of breathing underwater.
Yep.
I think it's very similar to the first time I snorkeled,
Yeah.
where you're like facing the water and you.
yeah.
You're
I was about
breathing?
to say, it's like snorkeling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, scuba diving is a little bit different. You got to pressurize your ears as you go down. Like nearly every foot, you're repressurizing your ears.
Yeah.
Even I only went down 10 meters, and by the time I got to 10 meters, my left ear was killing me until I pressurized it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that mental gymnastics of, because when I first got in, I was like, oh, that's right, I can, like,
Yeah.
you can actually breathe. And so,
And getting yourself to breathe regularly
Yes.
is tough. Yeah.
but once I started doing that, it was very relaxing and it was really amazing. Saw some really cool stuff.
And he fell asleep.
The other thing we did while in Bundaberg was watch turtles hatch, which is really amazing as well. So, Bundy Tourism, if you want to give us a sponsorship, we can hit you up because you've got some really good things up there.
We got a better chance of getting sponsored by the bakery next to the theatre in Bundaberg. They make good curry chicken pies and
Yeah.
pretty all right coffee.
Well, I definitely want to go back, so
What a
I'm
resounding-
going to have to check that out later.
Yes. Highly
Next one.
recommend.
Pretty all right coffee.
Highly recommend. Wait one moment.
All right. Well, while you look that up, boy, do you want to kick things off?
No, I've got one more story.
Okay.
little bit more banter, I want to tell you two a story of something that's been happening to me recently.
It's called Cruise the Bakehouse.
And I want to get your opinion on it.
Send it.
So on my way to work, I go the same way to work every morning.
Is this the story you told the other day?
You might already know it.
Yeah.
There is this elderly gentleman,
Mhm.
I'd say early 50s, sitting at a bus stop every morning.
Yep.
Same position, like sitting down on the little low brick wall, hand to mouth, just watching traffic go by. I don't assume he's homeless because he looks fairly well dressed. I'm assuming he's just there waiting for the bus on his way to work. Now, I've been traveling this way for over 12 months. Originally, it was only Mondays and Tuesdays I was doing it. Eventually, it's 5 days a week now.
Mhm.
A couple of weeks ago, on a Monday morning, I come around the corner. I can see old mate sitting there. He then stands up and walks to the edge of the road. And I go, oh, the bus must be behind me. That's strange. I've never seen him stand up before. Then all of a sudden, he starts dry humping the air and giving me the double forks as I drive past.
Which is just a hilarious mental picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and I'm like,
So what did you do to this guy?
I've had no interaction with this man apart from occasionally look at him as I drive past. And that's it. I've not signaled to him. I've not waved to him. I've not swerved at him or anything like that. Literally just driven past him every morning for quite a long time.
Okay.
So then the next morning, I come up, drive down that same road. And he's just there sitting. And I drive past and nothing happens. Then I'm like, what happened? Wednesday morning, come round. I see him stand up again. I'm like, oh, okay. This time, he has a motion. So imagine he has a tail and he's stroking his tail. So he's bent over, like stroking his tail with his fingers on his nose, like, I stink at me.
These are very odd things to be doing.
Yep.
I wonder if he thinks you're someone else.
I don't know.
I think he thinks he's someone else. I'm in favor of that.
So that time, I kind of gave him a little wave as he did it.
This
Okay? I didn't retaliate.
Sounds like you need to give him your number.
The Thursday
Yeah.
morning,
Yeah.
same thing. He stood up, but this time I just waved as he was standing there. He just gave me the forks as I drove past. So then I teed up a guy from work who lives close by. I said, can you just go, instead of going out this way to the highway, come my way to the highway?
Yeah.
And he drove past and he did nothing. He has not done anything since that 1 week, and it's been about 2.5 weeks. Granted, there was a week there where I smashed the window on my work car and I had a different work car, so I was driving past in a different vehicle.
Yep. So he didn't recognize you.
Yep. And then there was the couple of days I had off as we went in Bundaberg. So, but last week when I come back, nothing.
I think he just thinks you're someone else.
But why all of a sudden change?
I don't know. Maybe the other person got a new ute.
It didn't recognize you. I don't know.
And like I pretty much go past at the same time every day. So like,
Sometimes you're not paying attention. Sometimes he maybe just isn't paying attention.
Anyway,
Sometimes
Maybe
he
he's been
does
doing
see
it
you.
the whole time and you just haven't noticed.
well, I'm going to keep the Cheekyverse updated for any more developments of this strange
Okay.
man.
John's crazy, man.
I feel like you need to get your phone ready each day.
Yeah. I need a video of this guy dry humping.
So the Thursday,
Yeah.
I think it was, I did have my phone out. I was going to record this. My phone auto focused on the windscreen. It didn't actually
Of
get
course.
him. So
Clean your windscreen.
Clean your windscreen. Yeah. That's the first thing. That's what happened.
I'm going to have to get a dash cam or something. But I also don't want to let him see me like holding my phone as I drive past. And
Yeah,
I'm
that
clearly
could escalate things.
clearly recording. Well, he's sitting on a bunch of loose bricks. It's quite easy for him to pick up and just yoink a brick at me as I come past.
No, I don't think he could yoink a brick at you.
Okay.
By your description, it's pretty hard to yoink a brick that far and hit a moving car.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I think you're going to be safe.
Okay. But yeah,
I do like that we're using the word yoink now.
Yeah, I'm sick of yeet. It's not funny.
I don't know why I used it. I'm losing my ears. Anyway,
All right.
let's get on. So before
Hang
we...
on. Submerge into this story, boy.
Nice. I knew this one's going to be easy for you because I already chucked in
We
one.
haven't done that for months.
Dive into part one. I've already said that.
Hey, good.
Let's submerge ourselves in this story. That's a nice one.
Oy vey.
Up Periscope.
Yeah.
So we can see the story.
So before we specifically talk about U-boats, let's talk
Me-boats?
submarines.
Okay.
Subbies.
Not only used for wartime, but they are very vital in...
Please tell me you're going to talk
Don't
about
talk
the
about
Huntley.
Ocean Gate.
Please tell me you're going to talk about the Huntley.
That gets mentioned,
Excellent.
I think. I remember reading about the Huntley.
Yeah.
They're vital in exploration and scientific discovery of the ocean. The idea of underwater travel has been around for centuries. One example is there are images in the Temple of Thebes of men using hollow sticks to breathe underwater while hunting. So that's like thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's thought the first military application was at the siege of Syracuse in 415 BC, where divers were clearing obstructions. There's also legends that Alexander the Great explored the depths in a submersible, akin a diving bell, so like a glass bell that he went down and explored the bottom of the ocean in.
There wouldn't have been much to see, I'm sure.
What are you thinking, Sean?
Everything I hear about Alexander the Great, all of it's crap.
Oh,
Almost
really?
all of it's crap. So that one, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. He's gonna do some research.
But the invention of the submarine, as we know it today, may have its roots with Leonardo da Vinci when
Of
he
course.
sketched a simple design in 1515. Although it was never built, one was a few decades later in 1578. It was
his design?
No, it wasn't his design. It was the brainchild of Englishman William Bourne.
Shatner? Oh.
The William, you got
The
me.
William.
The vessel
The whistle.
The vessel.
was a wooden boat with a waterproofed leather cover put over it.
Oh, leather.
Yeah.
It's like a football.
The inside was hand-turned cranks, and that would adjust plungers, would let water in and out to decrease and increase the buoyancy.
So they cranked it to get it to...
Yep. The cranks to adjust the depths were possibly, like scissors from sketches, operated from outside. So this design found no room for passengers or crew on the inside. So it was just like a...
So what's the point?
It was a submersible.
It was
not
a submersible.
submarine.
But this is
But what's the point?
to see if it could be done.
Right. Okay. So it didn't do anything. It just existed.
Yes.
Right.
The man credited for the first successful submarine, though, is Cornelius van Drebbel.
Great name.
He successfully tested his design a few times, but once notably in front of James I of England. Oh, mate, he's popped up again. We've
He's
spoken
always
to him.
popped. Yeah, him and Teddy Roosevelt, they just pop up in every story about anything.
This was in the River Thames.
Thames.
Damn it.
The Thames.
The Thames. This was in England in the River Thames, where he remained underwater and invisible to the king and the onlooking crowd for 3 hours.
I have heard of that guy.
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of the Thames, I'm watching a series on YouTube at the moment. It's got a guy called Ed Pratt. He's doing Source to Sea in the Thames. So like he's got to be in the Thames to get progress. So he it's over like 18 days or something. He goes from the like source of the Thames all the way down to the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, so like following the river.
Yeah. So
cool.
he starts like walking and then wading and
Yeah.
then he gets in a canoe.
Nice. So the rumors started beginning that the man and the crew in this submersible had perished underwater.
Right.
And then, like I said, around 3 hours later, they reappeared on the surface, having moved a considerable distance from where they first dived.
Yawn counter.
It is like 3 o'clock.
And what does that mean?
So yeah, they 3 hours and they came back up. So were they circulating air somehow or?
I'm glad you asked. Sean, you might need to look this up.
Yeah,
but,
right.
I did a quick little read. I didn't write it down, but they used salt. I think it was saltpeter to refresh the air. Some sort of chemical reaction by heating it.
Oh, yeah.
It went into depth, like would refresh the air pretty much. They used a chemical reaction.
They
So
knew that at that point? What year was this?
1578.
And they knew about that.
Yes, yeah, I think so. Because there was hot. There was balloons at that point, wasn't there?
Yeah, but like to know, like to understand what
I think
we
they
breathe.
Yeah, I think they knew that from doing it with balloons, like doing a
Yeah.
chemical reaction with balloons to expand them. I think they then transferred that to this to be
So like they were thinking they were creating new air, not
Possibly,
like
yeah.
fixing the air.
possibly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So after this, the thought of using submarines for military purposes was quick to arise.
Yeah, of course it was.
In 1776, American David Bushnell designed and built the Turtle, the first military submarine. The idea was to covertly. The idea was to covertly approach enemy ships and attach an explosive to the hull. The idea, while simple, the execution of the idea, not so simple.
Yeah.
The first attempt with the turtle failed.
Yep.
The submarine, powered by a hand-cranked propeller, failed to get anywhere near its target. So the British ship,
Of course it does.
Yeah,
You got a
it-
guy inside it just cranking it to get over
there's
there.
one guy inside just
cranking it. Yeah.
cranking it. Yep. So the British ship that was meant to be the target didn't actually report of any activity or anything like that.
Yeah,
So-
they didn't even know what was going on.
Nope. However, in 1812, a similar designed sub to the turtle was able to catch its prey in an attempt to attach its explosive to the hull by screwing it in with a large screw. So they had like an appendage that would then, just like a large screw, drill into the hull, and then attached to that via rope was the explosive.
Yeah. So they crank up to this boat.
Yep.
Screw it.
Yep.
Crank off.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Which boat? Which was this? The Huntley?
No, it's not.
Okay.
However, this also failed as the screw dislodged and the target survived.
Unlucky.
Did you find anything with the salt?
Couldn't find anything
Okay.
about that. No.
So catching the target, difficult. Attaching the bomb,
Difficult.
difficult. Surely once these steps were mastered, they'd be sinking ships everywhere, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, no. The crew of the HL Huntley would find the answer to that.
Huntley. This submarine is dope.
It was a sub used by the Confederacy during the American Civil War. It used a long arm to place and hold an explosive charge to the hull of the USS Houstonic, which it did, successfully sinking it.
Great job.
Well done.
Excellent work, Huntley.
Unfortunately for the HL Huntley, it was also sunk by its own explosion and its entire crew died on 17th of February,
They're just holding it
1864.
there. Like,
I think it was a bit longer of an appendage they used, but yeah.
it's not just some bloke's arm holding it out.
So yeah, it is credited for the first
It's the
wartime
first wartime submarine death, kill,
kill. Yep.
and death.
And death. Yep. In the later years of the 1800s.
So submarines are on a KD of 1 at this point.
Yeah. Yes. Like I think one of the first submarines built also sunk and killed everyone in it. So they're probably at negative at the moment.
Okay.
In the later years of the 1800s, advancements in steam and diesel engines pushed submarine technology ahead, allowing for longer underwater times as well as non-human powered propulsion.
No more cranking it.
No more cranking it. At the turn of the century, when the Russo Japanese
Got him. It took 3 attempts.
At the turn of the century, when
Yes,
the
Sean hated
Russo-Japanese
that.
War
Yes.
was in full swing,
Sorry, boy.
you're all good.
I really hated that.
Say it into the mic.
I really hated that.
Yeah.
Around the 1900s, Russo-Japanese War in full effect, because I know you like that. You're going to do an episode on that, don't you?
The
You
Russo-Japanese War.
Mm.
Yeah, some point.
He just really likes the
Saying
expression,
Russo.
the Rus and
Yeah.
the Russo. Yeah.
I do love the Rus.
Yes.
5 American-built Holland 6 submarines were sold to Japan, and German-built.
This close to World War II.
Yes, one.
Well,
World War
yeah,
One.
but like, obviously Japan was the aggressor in
Mhm.
World War II.
And German-built Forel subs were sold to Russia.
Forel subs.
Yeah, Forelele.
Okay.
Forel, whatever. They were sold to Russia. By the time they were built, shipped, and reassembled at their new homes, hostilities were coming to an end, and they didn't see any action.
Cool.
Only after exporting some submarines to Russia, Norway, and Austria-Hungary did German commander of the Navy Alfred von Trippitz order one submarine. Yes, that is what the battleship the Trippitz is named after.
Yeah.
The SMU-1.
The SMU one.
SMU-1. Yeah, that's what it says.
Yep.
It had a double hull and a single torpedo tube and was commissioned on the 14th of December, 1906.
Okay.
The sequel, the SMU-2,
SMU 2.
SMU-2, captained by Bono, commissioned by,
Yeah, you went where I was going. Yeah, you
Co-
beat me there.
commissioned in
It's a
1908.
beautiful day.
Sean loves our crappy jokes. It was commissioned in 1908 and was 50% larger and had 2 torpedo tubes.
Yep.
Between 1908 and 1910, 14 more subs were ordered, and they had 14 torpedo tubes with 2 reload tubes. They were powered by kerosene engines. Unfortunately, the kerosene engine undermined their strategy, though, as when you burn kerosene,
You get a lot of smoke.
You get a lot of white smoke. So that kind of gives away the submarine.
So you've got this big smokestack coming up out of the ocean.
Mhm.
Like, I wonder where the submarine is.
So at that moment, like the engine would power the submarine on the surface and they would use battery power while under. So
That was what they did with diesel ones, right?
correct.
Yeah.
After
Still not very subtle.
After a reliable diesel engine was developed to be used in subs, the U-19 was a class of 23 U-boats. And they were the first to use a diesel engine. At the start of World War I, Germany had 48 submarines through 13 different classes or models, either in service or under construction.
That doesn't sound that many.
Doesn't.
Yeah, for like World War I scale.
But you
Doesn't
think this
sound
is
that
what,
much.
1916? And
Yeah.
you've got
I guess
40
they've only just worked out tanks as well.
well, you got 14 of these long cigar things that can go underwater,
Yeah.
They'd worked out submarines well before they worked out tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is crazy to think of, really, isn't
Yeah,
it?
isn't it? Yeah.
The SMU-1 was still in use, and it was used for training, but she was retired in 1919 and remains on display in the Deutsches Museum in Munich.
That's pretty cool.
Speaking of
Go
tanks,
to @CheekyTalesPod on Facebook and Instagram to see an image of the SMU-1.
Ooh, I think there'd have to be an image of it. I haven't
There's
actually.
going to be an
Yeah.
image. If it's not there, John couldn't find it.
No. But if you're cruising through Munich listening to us, stop in at the museum and you'll see the SMU-1.
Got that? If you do that, Sean will make you a custom shirt.
probably.
So quick little detour here.
Yep.
Why U-boat? Why is it
Under?
called a U-boat?
Underwater boat.
Unterboten.
Onto boot.
You are very close. U-boat is the English version of the German word U-boot,
Right.
which is short for Unterseeboot, German for undersea
I
boat.
got that close. Unterboten.
You're very close.
Wow.
Unterseeboot,
Unterseeboot.
which is literally just German for undersea boat.
Under the sea.
So this, like I said in the preamble, this terrifying word U-boat,
Yeah.
it's literally just undersea boat.
Unterboten. Unterseeboot.
Oh, I love it. 5th of September, the HMS Pathfinder was sunk by SMU-21 and was the first ship to have been sunk by a submarine using a self-propelled torpedo. World War I would be the first conflict to see submarines make a significant impact on the conflict. September 22nd, U-9 sank the armoured British cruisers HMS Abercur, the HMS Creasy, and the HMS Hogue in less than 1 hour. Sunk 3 ships in 1 hour.
Sheesh.
As a result, the British fleet would withdraw to safer waters in Northern Ireland. So they're starting to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. 3 in an hour is pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
good.
I think they fired 6 torpedoes and 2 torpedoes each.
Yeah, right.
Pretty crazy. The U-boat fleet would then turn to attacking merchant ships, where they would observe prize rules. Have you heard of prize rules, Sean?
I have, yes.
Yeah, which means they would stop and inspect the merchant ships, allowing the crew to evacuate and then sink it.
That's surprisingly civil.
I think this is
Hello, we're about to sink you.
yeah, I think this come from like old Admiralty laws from like the Spanish and English conflicts. U-17 sunk the first merchant ship, the SS Giltra off Norway on the 20th of October 1914. Only 10 merchant ships were sunk that way before the policy was changed in February of 1915.
Oh, then it was just sink them as soon as you see them.
Pretty much. Why? Is because the German forces on the surface and the land were in a stalemate. So Germany opted unrestricted submarine warfare to break the supply chains to the Allied land forces. This new policy or tactic gave instructions to U-boat captains that they would sink any merchant ships without warning, even neutral ones.
Oh, okay. Poor Swiss.
Landlocked country, dude.
Are we
You think
having,
they don't have boats?
are we having this
No, they
fight
don't.
again?
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I
Like,
mean,
where are they going to have
Canberra
them?
is a landlocked state, but then we have the HMS Canberra.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
a ship
I
named-
know. I'm
Whoa.
trying to start
Whoa.
some-
both of us immediately.
Fucking, are we going to talk about Jarvis Bay? Like, holy
Oh.
shit.
Man, I hooked you both.
So easily, too. Like, what are you, stupid?
Apparently, you're the one that's stupid.
Oh, man.
Get him.
Wow. U-boats were responsible for torpedoing 3 ocean liners that had been used as British transports. The RMS Hesperian, the SS Arabic, and the most notably the RMS. I practice this one. Lusitania.
Close. Lusitania.
Lusitania.
The Lusitania, didn't that come up in the Titanic episode?
I believe so.
I think it was one of the ones that was like,
Predated.
yeah, it was one of the fast ones before one of the fast or big ones before
Well, it was the fastest and largest ocean
Yeah.
liner of its time.
and it was from Cunard, the Cunard line.
It was a White Star. I believe it was White Star.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Same company.
Right. There you go. By the way, I went and saw the Titanic exhibit.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was in Brisbane.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
The sinking of the Lusitania is cited as one of the reasons the US entered World War I, even though it was years later.
Hmm.
Because there were, I believe, US citizens on board.
Hmm.
By the end of the war, 373 German U-boats had been built.
How many, sorry?
373.
It still doesn't feel like that many. But like, I guess that's a lot of U-boats.
Of that, 179 were operational and 178 were lost to enemy action.
Right.
The fleet had sunk 10 pre-dreadnought battleships, 18 cruisers, several smaller naval vessels, and 5,708 merchant and fishing ships,
Oh, it's a lot of boats. Ships.
which totaled 11.1 million tons of goods and supplies.
Yeah, bloody hell. That is an impact.
That is a very big impact, as
Yeah.
well as the lives of about 15,000 sailors.
Yeah.
The top scoring U-boat of World War I was U-35, which had sunk 220 ships for a total of 500,000 tonnage.
Wow. That's a KD.
At the end of World War I, and the signing of the Treaty of Versailles,
Versailles.
Versailles, whatever.
Versailles.
Why do they make it so long if it's just Versailles?
No more gaps with Versailles.
Nice. You need that in a submarine.
You got to get a leaking boat? Use Versailles.
Yep. Germany was forbidden to have and construct submarines. The treaty also restricted them to 6 battleships, 6 cruisers, 12 destroyers, and 12 torpedo boats.
And I'm sure they never exceeded that.
No, they did not. To circumnavigate these rules, a design office was set up in Holland. And in the years between the wars, the design office would continue developing and pushing and redefining the U-boat technology. The treaty was amended in 1930, which allowed Germany to have submarines in parity with Britain. As World War II approached, Hitler would authorize construction of U-boats in secret.
Sorry. I don't think you saw what just happened, but Sean went through this whole thing to like quietly move his microphone because he was worried about breathing in it. And then just went, I'm glad you
Yeah,
did
look,
all that.
I need to, with my new microphone, I'm still not used to the levels required for it. I probably should turn them up a little bit if I'm going to sit back here. Is this okay from where I am?
It's a bit quiet. I'm not going to change it, but I can
You're
fix
not
it.
going to change.
I can fix it. Changing the gain in the middle of the recording is like the worst thing I could do.
So Hitler,
Yeah.
he's authorized the secret commencement of submarine building.
Yeah.
And at the outbreak of World War II, Germany had 65 submarines with 21 at sea. Because of the aforementioned treaty, the German Navy was at a disadvantage in like surface ship battles. So they went back to what worked well for them in World War I, attacking merchant ships and supply lines with U-boats. And this was the Battle of the Atlantic, which was the longest running battle of the war. It pretty much started at the outbreak of World War II and finished at the end of it. It was
Like, how do they determine? Like, that just means that everything that happened in the Atlantic's part of it. It's not one battle.
that's
Yeah.
It was an ongoing thing.
Okay. So it wins by default.
It's called Operation Atlantic.
Yeah.
Like it's
Stuff happened in Atlantic.
Winston Churchill later wrote, "The only thing that really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril. The cross-Atlantean trade in war supplies and food was crucial for Britain's survival. U-boats would employ new tactics of wolf packs, where one submarine would find a ship, shadow it, then communicate via Enigma communication and organize a group attack. The Allies would counter this by putting their ships in convoys.
Convoy.
While convoys worked for a while, U-boat captains adapted and in 1940 was referred by Germans submariners as die Gluckerschleit.
Why would you even try and pronounce that?
I think I did all right.
You did all right, but you have not a great history of
No.
pronouncing difficult things.
So what was it? De Glockersteit.
Die Gluckerschleit. Or
Glockersteit.
first happy time.
That cannot be right.
That is what
Die Glücklichkeit.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it first happy time?
Yep.
Crazy.
that just means that their Wolfpack tactics were working really well at this time, and they were sinking a lot of ships.
That feels like a Japanese conversion of language, right?
The happy time, Die Glücklichkeit.
Yeah.
Originally, it was the happy time. Spoiler, there's a
And
second
later,
happy time.
first happy time
Oh,
after a
so then
it's-
successful period.
Yeah.
Are they back to cranking it?
Nice. But after this, British countermeasures were developed, such as sonar was
Yep.
one of the countermeasures developed to
Beep.
counter submarines.
You ever heard a video? Like, have you ever seen a video of somebody diving and they do a sonar blip?
No.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like people underwater, and there'll be like a sonar blip come through, and it's just like,
Yeah, right.
smacks them.
Huff Duff,
Ooh, half duff.
which is, I believe, high frequency, like a distortion type of thing. Radar was
Yep.
something else developed.
That was more for the sky.
But they also developed it, I think it was for pinging surface submarines.
Yeah.
Depth charges.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how a depth charge works?
Yeah, it's like an explosion that goes down to a certain depth and then blows up, right?
Yeah, and they use because water doesn't compress.
Mm.
They use the shockwave of the water to damage the whole
Yeah.
submarine. And you had anti-submarine weapons like the Hedgehog, which was a series of mortars fired towards the submarine. And unlike depth charges, they were set to a depth, like you said. These mortars would only detonate when they contacted a hard surface.
Right.
So it was like a row of 24. So
So it's almost like a mine.
yeah, like a 4x6.
Yeah.
And they'd fire them off in the water and they would sink down. And if they hit
Oh, so
something,
it's almost like a net. Yeah.
yeah, and they would explode. As well as the Fido torpedo. From my late night research and not fully understanding what it is, it's a torpedo that once it enters the water, after being dropped by an aircraft, homes in on a detected sound. So I think it kind of uses like a sonar or some sort of sound detection.
Oh,
And then-
right. So it just goes after the loudest thing.
I think so. Which sounds kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Don't be kicking your feet on the water.
Also, in 1941, Allied forces being able to decode Axis communication allowed them to avoid U-boats better.
Mm.
This was enabled by the capture of the Enigma from U-110. Later on, in February of 1942, the codes were changed and Axis forces regained their advantage. Until October that same year, when U-559 was boarded before sinking and new code books were salvaged. There was a movie not too long ago with
Yeah. what was
Benedict
that
Benedict
called?
Cumberbatch
Yeah.
that kind of went into the decoding of the
Yeah.
Enigma.
It was
What was that
extremely good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Also, that guy, Alan Turing,
Yes.
really badly treated by his country.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Oh, hugely.
I think the story of the Enigma is probably pretty fascinating as well. How it was
He
still
was
set
treated.
up
He
and-
was treated badly by literally everybody. He
Mhm.
got pardoned later in life, but I think he'd already passed away when he got pardoned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, he was gay, and it was illegal to
Oh.
be gay, so he just got. Yeah.
A very
Like, hey,
intelligent
thanks
man.
for your service,
Yeah.
but you kissed a dude, so no thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
right.
was really bad. Yeah.
But,
So genius.
yeah, made a very important breakthrough in the war, decoding the Enigma.
He couldn't decode everything, and it spent ages because the code would change every day until he worked out that at the end of every single message, it
Heil
would
Hitler.
say Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
So he goes, I don't need to decode everything. I just need to
yeah.
decode the last sentence.
Yep.
Boom, crack the code. But then he was like, but what do I do? If I pass on every single message, then the Axis powers
know,
will know.
Yeah.
And so we had to sit there and listen to enemy ships get friendly ships get destroyed, friendly soldiers get. It must have been really hard.
There was people in his team that had to listen to or had to decode messages that said that their
Their relatives,
relative ships were going to be sunk.
and they
or
couldn't do
like-
anything about it.
Yeah, they just had to deal with it.
Awful.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
What was it called?
I'll go into some movies later. So if you do,
If only you were the researcher.
yeah,
I know. I'm trying to remember what it is before. Just yeah. All right.
store it for later because I go into some movies later and chuck it in there. The fact that I mentioned U-559 gives you an idea of how many U-boats were constructed.
Well, more than 559.
As I mentioned earlier, there was a second happy time when the US entered the war and submarines hunted the US ships around the American, Canadian, and Mexican coastlines. But the Americans also quickly adopted effective countermeasures, obviously learnt by their British patriots. And those countermeasures were so effective, but by the end of 1943, when U-boat construction was at its peak, it was nullified by the fact that they were losing so many submarines. In March to July, 130 U-boats were lost, with 41 U-boats lost in May alone. By the end of the war, almost 3,000 Allied ships had been sunk by U-boats, 175 warships, and 2,825 merchant ships. On the submarine side, 1,162 U-boats were built and 785 were destroyed. The human toll of the 40,000 sailors in the U-boat service, 28,000 or 70% died.
Jeez.
So there's not much you can
it's
do.
The merchant ships that really upset me because they're just people. Like they're not aggressors. They're not.
Well,
soldiers.
they're running supplies. I think they may have had
they're
some
just people.
Yeah, I think they may have had some soldiers on there for protection and stuff as well. But that was the strategy they needed to.
Yeah.
Yep. Not all U-boats were lost to enemy hands, though.
Uh-oh. Whoopsies.
There is one U-1206 was sunk by something unordinary. You know the old joke, why did the Irish submarine sink?
Why?
Because they had fire screens on their windows.
Sure, I've never heard that before, but yeah.
Well, I would say this isn't
Why
too...
would it be Irish?
Because it's like the Irish are dumb. That's like the whole old joke type of thing.
Ah, so it's a British thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was too dissimilar to that. The U-1206 was a late model U-boat. It had been fitted with some newer technology. And at this point of the war, things were looking desperate for the Germans, so they were pretty much just using everything and anything they had.
So it's got heated seats, Android Auto.
Yeah, even if it was still experimental.
Yeah.
Oh, you wait till you know what this thing's got. One of the new techs on board was a deep water high pressure toilet system.
Sick.
Which allowed the...
Shooting poops.
It allowed the loo to be used while the submarine was running at depth. Flushing the toilet was extremely complicated and it required a special technician who was trained to use it to flush it correctly.
It just feels like that. You don't need that. Just anyway. Yep.
It was all about extending the time of
range. The time
submarine under.
Yeah.
So, April 14th, 1945, just 14 days before the end of the war, U-1206 was cruising at a depth of 61 metres, 15 kilometres off the coast of Scotland. Now, nowhere says exactly who this was, but the speculation was that it was a higher ranking officer that had done his business and didn't want some technician to come in and see his number two. So he decided to flush the toilet himself.
Right.
At that time, the captain was in the engine room helping repair one of the engines, and he was informed that the toilet was malfunctioning and water was flooding into the submarine.
Oh, no.
The leak flooded the batteries, and the salt water mixing with the batteries caused them to generate chlorine gas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With no other choice, the captain was forced to surface the submarine. This then caused them to be discovered by a British patrol, and the bombing commenced. To avoid the U-boat being captured, the captain ordered the submarine to be scuttled.
Wave the brown flag.
3 men drowned in the high seas after abandoning the ship, and 46 were captured.
Oh, imagine dying because some guy couldn't hold it.
Or just flush the toilet.
Yeah.
Wrong. So that submarine is credited to being sunk due to a toilet. Poops.
Reason for loss, number 2.
Yep. As for the top scoring U-boat in World War II, it was U-48, a Type 7B, the most common built in the war. I think there was like 700 of them built. There is one surviving example, and it is on display at the Lebeau Naval Memorial in Lebeau, Germany. It had a total tonnage sunk of 300,000 with 200 ships sunk.
Go to @CheekyTalesPod on Facebook and Instagram to see that.
Mm-hmm. Submarines still play a vital role in defence today, as well as undersea exploration. Like Ocean Gate. Well, I'd say
Thought
what,
we agreed we weren't going to mention.
Not
What
going to
was-
talk about
what was that one
Ocean
called?
Gate.
Was it called Titan?
The Titan.
Yeah.
Titan.
I say the Titan sub-disaster of June in 2023. And on the defence side, Australia just paid the US $800 million as a part payment of a $3.6 billion deal for some nuclear subs in the AUKUS deal. AUKUS deal.
And we won't get them till like 2030 or something? 2035? Yeah.
Plus, over the years, the idea of stealthy underwater combat has given us some classic movies, like The Hunt for Red October.
Great book. I've never watched the movie.
It's a good film. It's a very good film.
Sean Connery, Russian.
Yeah.
Russian Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Das Boot,
Oh, was that a submarine film?
a movie from 1981, which follows a German U-boat crew.
Okay. There you go.
Greyhound from 2020, starring Tom Hanks, as he captains a destroyer leading a convoy through U-boat hunting grounds in the Battle of the Atlantic. So if you like this episode, maybe go check out that movie. And last but not least...
No, it was Midway that you watched on my Amazon Prime account.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And last but not least, a sci-fi thriller from the legendary Avatar director James Cameron,
James Cameron,
The Abyss.
the greatest pioneer. No
So-
ocean too deep, no budget too steep.
What was the-
Look
what was
out,
the
it's James
Enigma movie, Sean?
Cameron.
Oh, jeez.
Well, he's pretty famous for doing underwater exploration via submarine too, isn't he?
Yeah, he was the Mariana Trench bloke.
Yeah. There you go.
Raising the bar.
Yeah, 1989, The Abyss. I haven't watched it in a long time. I think I've only seen it once.
So Das Boot,
Mm.
I think won 6 Academy Awards when it came out and is
Good job.
regarded as one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yep.
Or is the greatest German movie of all time. So I might have to chuck that on my list.
Yep.
What was the
Oh, the
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Oh, it's
Alan.
called The Imitation Game.
There you go.
That's it.
So if you want to, more submarine tales, there's a couple of movies for you to watch, as well as the Imitation
Tales
Game.
from the deep.
Thanks for listening. I'll be back in 4 weeks after Aaron's in 2 weeks with part 2 of my series.
Do you want to give a hint as to what that's going to be?
If people will look it up and spoil it. So my idea for this is I'm doing 3 tales that are all self-contained, but they all lead into
Can I hazard a guess?
the next one. Yeah, go on.
Is one of them the Kursk?
No.
Okay.
So
I'll keep that one.
it's not a submarine tale, the next one.
Ah.
It is a World War II one. It will be about Operation Postcard.
There you go.
Sounds good.
And then from there, something else will happen.
Okay.
So thanks for listening
Good story, boy.
to the episode Under Sea
Unter the Sea.
Boot.
Unter See Boot. Yeah, good story. We're going to have to ask Sophie about this.
Why?
She's German.
Oh, really?
We have a German friend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We don't need to ask.
Yeah, ask your German friend about Nazi Germany. Yeah.
She comes from Hamburg. It's like the most left
Hamburg.
place. Yeah, it's the most left place in Germany. I don't,
There's I don't know if you've seen the clip. There's like a German comedian, and I think he's on the Conan,
That doesn't seem true,
it
but go
can't be
on.
possible.
I think he's on the Conan O'Brien show or something like that.
You know what's funny is when you're doing your taxes.
Well, they're like,
You know what's funny? Walls.
I told Sophie, I was talking to Sophie about our wedding.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we had it in January. It would be nice to do it like not in summer, but it was so much cheaper. And I was like, oh, when's popular to have a wedding in Germany? Like probably in the summer, right? And she's like, no, December. I'm like, oh, that's weird. It's like winter. It's all snowy and stuff. She's like, yeah, the tax season starts in January. So most people get married in December to get around it.
yeah,
I
nice.
was like, oh, this is the most German thing I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
Well, this German comedian, they ask him the question. They're like, oh, do you have a problem with like Germany being the villains in every movie? And he's like, no. Have you seen our history?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty funny about it.
All right. Well, that good episode.
Down Periscope. Good night, Chiquitos.
Good one. Good night. Thank you for listening.
Bye. You've been listening to Cheeky Tales Podcast. If you'd like to see supplemental images related to our episodes or to interact with us about our episodes, hit us up on @CheekyTalesPod on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can watch our episodes on YouTube or listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.